Oh, this one has a limit in it. That's 5.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Call Fishing. Today we're back on the Whaly and I'll be taking it out to do some crabbing. In this episode, I'll show you guys how the Whaly handles the crabbing activities, especially with the ads on that I put on for shrimping, the pot pullers. Today we're heading up in a spot up in Everett that's pretty famous for crabbing, so let's see if we can't get any luck. Alright, so one of the first things you guys want to do is have a checklist before launching. Make sure you're going through and doing everything you need to do. Plug in the drain plugs, tilt the motor up, remove your straps, and be ready to put the boat in the water as soon as you back down that ramp. Have your tow line ready, tied up and ready to be held. Remember to start up that motor, let it warm up a little bit before heading out. Make sure your gas line's connected, your gas tank is full. Got enough fuel for whatever destinations or activities you'll be doing for the day of. Make sure your boat is a lot cleaner than how I have it and a lot more organized. It's definitely tough because the Whaly doesn't come with any storage solutions out of the box unless you purchase the those black box that it comes with. Here I have my DIY console that I just made from a box where I have my fish finders and electronics all in the box. So here I have the transducer mounted on a one of those metal mount that attached right on the back of the boat. So every time I go out, I can take it on and off. So here, I take it out, just plug it in, screw it on, and then mount the transducer onto the back of the boat as the motor is warming up. And once I'm set up, that's pretty much when the motor should be all warm up and I'm all set to head out and be underway for the journey. Alright, so when you're shifting gears to either go backwards or forward, make sure you're not going ham on the throttle. Just take it nice and easy. Everything nice and slow. Yeah, just be careful to not over adjust because that can lead to a lot of problems. And one other tip I have for new boat owners is if you have like an open boat like the Whaly, go ahead and get this net mesh thing that they use for trucks, and it's a good way to keep everything inside the boat without having like a full cover on it. Much easier to set up and clean up every time. Alright, and with that, as you're heading out, you can start to organize, and here I am heading out to the crabbing ground, which is pretty close by, about a 30-minute journey on the 20 horsepower, because we're only going 6-7 miles an hour here. Yeah, so the limitations of the small motor really shows now. If you want to get places that's like more than a couple miles away, then definitely be prepared for a longer journey. So this is why you definitely want the biggest motor you can afford. I see why that's the recommendations now, because you would rather have more speed and not need it than to not have no speed and need to be zipping around places. Alright, but the nice thing about having a long journey is you can set up your crab cage and do all your preparations on the journey over. So pros and cons. So here, I'm setting up my crab cage, getting the baits ready. So right when I get to the locations, I can drop them right off. So crabbing straightforward. The gears are pretty cheap, like $50 for a cage and ropes and all that. And I'm just using chicken for baits. So here, I'm just looking to drop off at any sandy locations in about the 60 feet range. So make sure you're not dropping too deep, especially if the length of your rope is 100 feet, which is a standard that usually comes with. So look for no more than, I'd say, 80 feet, just in case of the tide swing or big current swings. You want that extra slack, just in case. Alright, another tip I have is to let the crab cage down slowly and just monitor it as it's going down so you can be sure that it's landing flat. So one thing I learned from shrimping is to attach a flag buoy, if you have one, onto your regular red and white buoy. This helps you identify and locate the pots much easier from far away as you're going back to locate them. Yeah, now here, I'm just trying different depths from 50 to 70 feet, spreading it out. The limit of pots here in the Puget Sound is 2 pots per person, and there's no limits to the amount of pots you can have on the boat. If you have a lot of people on, you can have a lot more pots, unlike shrimping. Alright, once the pots are set, go ahead and go out and do some activities. I like to keep them soaked for about an hour and a half, but you can pull them up anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours. So with these square pots, I wouldn't recommend leaving them too long because the crab can eat all the baits and they will take off afterwards. So again, one of the highlights here for this activity with the Whaly is stability. When I'm dropping pots off, it's very stable. I don't feel the boat like tipping over. Even with all the weight distribution, it's kind of off or funky. So that's a pretty nice benefit of the Whaly. Now, hey, one of the downside is, since I did get the 500R, so the difference from that with the regular 500 is the additional layers of foams added on to increase the buoyancy of it. So the pros of that is, it's harder for the boat to sink, but the con of it is it adds about like another 100 or so pounds of weight to it, which does reduce your speed a little bit. So keep that in mind if you're debating between the 500R or the 500. So, as a first-time boat owners, that wasn't in my considerations, but, just keep in mind that more waste equals less speed and also higher fuel consumption. Of course, this is all relative, so do some calculations to see which factors you'd like to compromise on. Alright guys, so after you're done waiting your hour and a half, head back to where you mark your drop-off points are for the buoy. Go ahead and swing by, and remember to drive slowly as you're coming by and not go fast like what I just did right here, because what's going to happen is as you're pulling the pots in, you're going to be dragging the pots along the bottom, and you don't want to do that. So just go ahead and go by nice and slow, grab the buoy and pull them overboard. Alright, so here you can see again, I'm pulling the pots from the side of the boat. Yeah, it's a little bit inconvenient to use the front hatch. One, because my organizations here kind of prevented it, and two, the outboard I have right now is a tiller model, so I'm in the back controlling it. So it's a little bit inconvenient to run up and down the boats to pull the pots. And there's no problem pulling on the side right here. Once again, the stability with the Whaly. You can see the waves here. The conditions today aren't the best conditions. Good amount of swells and waves. So the Whaly is able to perform really well in the stability sense, even as I'm pulling the pots over from the side. So one tips for pulling up crab pots is for the first time boat owners out there and first time crabbers is to definitely wear gloves, especially if you're hand pulling it like this. You can hand pull these. It's not too bad because the pots, hopefully full crabs will probably be about 20-25 pounds, and the rope depths are about 60 to 80 feet typically, so it's not a bad pull from the bottom. It will definitely still be a nice workout though, so remember to eat a nice big breakfast the day of and pack some water along. Alright, so here's me pulling the crab over. Nice pot full of good sized crabs. And as you can see, the Whaly does a great job of being nice and stable. It's not tilting over or anything, so stability is holding up great. Alright, so once you get the pots over, it's time to make sure they're legal to keep. Here in Washington State, they got to be over 6¼ inches big, and they got to be males and in hard shell conditions. You can also keep red rocks out here, and they can be of either sex, and they just have to be great eating. So if you find ones with really nice claws, I do recommend keeping them if you like. Alright guys, so one other thing here is make sure you are better organized than I am, otherwise the crab can grab onto your ropes and it's pretty annoying to get them off. Alright guys, so like I said before, one of the things you have to check for is whether the crab is soft or not, and you can do that by pressing the shell in the top or on one of their claws towards the end like you see here. If it's soft, you're gonna have to go ahead and throw them back. One, because it's not legal to keep them, and two, there's just not a lot of meat on them anyway, and that's why they have you throw them back. So crabbing is one of my favorite things to do with boating. It's nice and relaxing. You just go out, drop your pots, and just hang back, relax, enjoy the water, enjoy the day out. It's not too complex to get into. All the equipment is relatively inexpensive, and the output is pretty great. It's not like fishing. Crabbing is usually pretty good odds. Can't beat catching your own food, especially with the price of crabs these days. We ended the day limiting out 5 crab a person for about 3 hours out, which is fantastic for being out in the sound. Got a couple 7-inchers and a nice red rock to go along with it too. Fantastic eating. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed my adventures out with the Whaly today crabbing. So overall, the Whaly did a fine job for crabbing out here in the Puget Sound. Everything was pretty good. A very stable and pleasant ride as usual. The only thing is the speed factor due to my boat being under power, but I think once I get the 60 on it, it should be better. Just from looking at other videos with the 500R, I think with a 60 I can probably hit about 20-25 miles per hour cruising. Not the fastest, but hopefully that should do for the Puget Sound. Alright, so I think that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy the content and thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or feedback below in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Alright everyone, until next time.